That's our intro music. Dale's just jamming out the Dangerous Summer, and we're live.
I kind of like it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, Dangerous Summer, they got a new album out called Mother Nature. This is a new song called Way Down. Go check it out. Ask Junior Live. This is the Ask Junior Live portion of the show presented by Nationwide. And we've had a great show up to this point. Talked to Amy about, had Amy here, but we talked a lot about the Kentucky Derby and the experience there. So we hopefully got some great questions today for the rest of the show. Let's go.
Yeah, let's kick it off. We actually asked our fans this yesterday, and I want to hear your take on it. With the Dover race being rained out, I'm betting some people are playing hooky today to stay home and watch it. So do you have a tale playing hooky?
Yeah, actually I did. My sister used to skip school all the time. She had great grades, but skipped high school all the time. One time I was in class, and they called me to the principal's office. I go to the principal's, and they're like, hey, somebody's out front, needs to see you, your sister. I'm like, my sister? She's not in school? Like, I'm in school. She's not here? I go out, and she's at the front of the school, skipping school, and came by school. I don't even remember why she needed to tell me something. She had a car accident, and she's, like, driving a different car. I walk over there. I'm like, what? Why you got this car? She's like, I ran in the back of somebody. And I went to the dealership, and they gave me this car while mine's getting fixed.
Oh, wow.
And she was skipping school and drove to the school and called me out of class.
To tell you.
Like,
Wait a minute.
I know, right?
So she went to the scene of the crime.
She went, yeah, exactly.
Okay, I get it.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah. So that was one instance, and maybe she can we'll have her on the show and to tell her side of that, because there's got to be more to it.
Got to be. Yeah.
But yeah, she skipped school, got in a car accident, came to the school to tell me about it, because she's like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you don't need to be here.
I don't know what much, but I know that.
Yeah. And so, she didn't encourage me. That encouraged me. Oh, Kelly's skipping. I'm going to skip. So me and my buddies are like, dude, let's skip school. We ain't never done that. Where are we going to go? Well, we're in Mooresville, so we're going to go up to Statesville and go to the mall in Statesville, and we'll just hang out up there. Nobody will know, right? We're up there hanging out at the mall. We're walking around, eating Chick-fil-A and buying CDs and doing what you do. This is like 1991, 92. And there was some traffic cones in the they were doing some work on the parking lot or something, and I was like, man, I want one of them cones. My buddy's like, yeah, we should steal a cone. So we're driving.
Oh my God.
Oh, we're like, it's a cone, right? Not the barrel. So I'm like, all right, here's how we're gonna do it. I'm gonna drive by the cone. You're gonna reach out the truck window. You're gonna reach it. It's a single cab truck. You're gonna grab it and just hinge it into the bed of the truck. Nobody's ever gonna see a thing. He did it perfectly, just as we designed. Right? I go home. I got this cone. I'm like, oh, shit. What am I going to do with this cone now? Like, where am I going to put it? Dad's going to know I stole it. He's going to know what he's going to be. It's not like, you can't put a stop sign in your room and not get asked how that got there. So I got this cone, and there's an empty lot next to our house, and there's a bunch of pine needles lining this empty lot, a bunch of pine trees. And so I buried the cone, I thought, in these pine needles, all right, under these trees. A couple days go by. I'm like, I don't know what to do with the cone. It's just going to stay there, all right? Dad comes over, and he goes, hey, come here. And he walks me out there, and we're walking toward that damn I know it. Like, I'm walking toward it. Everybody's been in this situation with their dad where you done something wrong, you broke something, you done something, and he's walking you to it, and he ain't saying a word. And you know where you're going. You're wondering what's going to happen when you get there.
I'm feeling a little of the nerves
exactly.
right now.
So we're walking up to there, and he points, and that thing's a little bit uncovered. And he saw the orange.
Ugh.
And he's like, what's this? You put this here, didn't you? I was like, yeah. And now I'm thinking, how in the hell do I tell the story without knowing that I'm playing hooky, right?
Because, yeah, you could have. It's hard to think of that on the fly for sure.
Hell yeah!
Yes.
And your dad, they know you're lying.
Yeah.
Right. So I got in trouble for stealing the cone. He's like, I didn't tell him that I was playing hooky. He made me return the cone. That was Dad's thing.
So you were able to get out of that just for the basically.
I did not get in trouble for playing hooky, but I had to physically take the cone back.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a big deal, though.
I know.
That's fine.
I thought my ass was in trouble. Boy.
Here's what I'm wondering. How many, just ballpark, how many acres does your dad have at this point?
This is on the lake, so we're in a
Oh,
2
okay. I
acre
gotcha.
lot.
Okay.
And next to us is a 2 acre empty lot.
Gotcha.
Which is now built.
Still,
But
4 acres. You couldn't hide
I
that
don't know
cone any better.
Dude, it was in the one place where you thought he'd never look.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's.
No, I'm thinking more of how impressive it is that there ain't
Honestly,
a spot on his land you're going to be able to do something like that
Honestly,
without him knowing.
now that I think about it, if he stands on the, if he go his bedroom is on the second floor with a balcony on the back, and if he goes out that balcony, he's got a perfect vantage point to see that damn thing.
Especially orange sitting out in the woods.
Somehow it could become uncovered. But yeah, I played a little hooky.
We had some people chime in on Twitter over the weekend, and Kevin White said he and his buddy cut class and went to breakfast. They ran into his buddy's dad, who was supposed to be at work. When his dad confronted them, he said, "Aren't you supposed to be at school?" And his buddy said, "Aren't you supposed to be at work?" And his dad replied, "I won't tell Mom if you don't."
That's nice.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Jen, she took her youngest son to qualifying at Richmond and didn't tell her oldest son. And when they got home, he was waiting at the door to say, "I saw you guys on TV."
Oh,
Damn.
Busted.
Wow.
Hey, real quick, that reminds me, I cut school one time, and when you mentioned that about your father, it made me think of this. And I was walking down this big hill from my high school with my buddy Mike Durley, and we're like, oh, man, we're cool. We're going to go get some pizza, play some video games, and we come down this hill, and I see my father's red and white pickup truck coming up the hill, and I'm like, there was nowhere to go. He stopped, turned around. Where you boys going? I'm like, hop in. I'll take you there.
Yeah.
So he took us there. I knew he let us go and cut school, but I knew when I got home I was in big trouble.
Dang.
Hey, you know what this reminds me of? Remember the fella from Canada that showed up here and to watch us tape a Dale Jr. download, and you let him in, and you were he was from Canada, and he drove all the way down here, and you were taking pictures with him, and you were doing this, and on your phone, not for him, but for you. You were just enamored by it. And then the guy comes to me and he goes, "Hey, what do you think Dale Jr. is going to do with those photos?" And I said, "If I know him, he's already posted it." And he goes, "If y'all could hold off posting that because my work doesn't know I'm down here. I called in sick."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That
great.
is awesome. We had a lot of people talk about John Force last week, and we got a question from Amber. After having John Force on, have you ever wanted to race in an NHRA funny car or any other type of drag car?
I think you're always curious as to what other cars drive like, and certainly curious as to what the launch feels like.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking about that at the Kentucky Derby. I'm like, I never really put my mind to it, but imagine when the horse takes off, like hanging on, not being left in the gate.
Right.
Like that probably takes some pretty strong concentration not to just be jerked right off the back of that horse, because then things just go.
Yeah.
And I imagine being thrown back into that seat, the G-forces that those guys experience is got to be incredible. I mean, by the time you realize what's going on and you kind of catch up to what's happening, it's time to pull the chute and it's over with. I'd have to do it many times to really get an appreciation for it, I think. Just like when you go to Talladega or somewhere, or Bristol, one of those more wild experiences, it takes a lot of laps before things slow down and you go, oh, man, this is cool. You know, you're kind of way behind and mentally and physically way behind what's happening for a while before you appreciate exactly how cool it is.
Yeah.
David wants to know, what's your favorite Chevy model that they've made throughout the years, and do you have a favorite year?
My favorite Chevrolet is the Laguna, and I got a 76 blue Laguna. I love that car. That car had a lot of great success in the Cup Series for Cale Yarborough. Actually, he won a couple championships with it. NASCAR outlawed the Laguna because it's superior downforce and aero.
Know that.
Yeah, they would not allow that car after 78. I believe the Laguna went away because it was just too good, I guess. If you look at the nose of that car versus maybe the Olds Cutlass and
Slant.
it probably just had better downforce and so forth. It wasn't a great super speedway car, but it was awesome on the mile and a half and the short tracks and so forth. And and I like the way it looks. I just love from 75 to 1980. I love those big cars. I got an Olds 442 and 77 and a 76 Laguna.
JJ Durham says he met you several years ago near Bristol when you and your buddies brought your RC cars and played on our track made like BMS. Do you still mess with the RC stuff much?
That's funny, man. I have such anxiety over the piles of boxes and parts and pieces of RC stuff that I still have. I remember going over to that track near Bristol and playing. At that particular time, me, Tony Sr., Tony Jr., we were all kind of into it. And we would go to test at Greenville Pickens, and then we'd go over to the RC track right there next to the racetrack and play. We had my own. I built an RC car track at my house that we ran at a lot. Tony Sr. and them would come over. We got into the quarter scales at one time. I've got quarter scale chassis parts, really? bent parts, broke parts, still good parts. I got half cars that we've torn apart trying to put things, put other cars together and fix bent suspension. I've got boxes and boxes of RC cars that I never ever got put together, and we did. I got a battery, electric. I got gas. I guess my pride and joy. I've got 3 cars that Leonard Wood built. Leonard Wood builds 10th scales and 12th scales that are amazing.
Really?
Amazing pieces of machinery, man. I mean, they are complex. Leonard Wood of the Wood Brothers can build the hell out of an RC car. Independent suspension and all that, and he built he builds gas powered ones primarily, and he built me 2 a couple years ago, and I have them put up. They'll never run a lap. They'll never fire. I'll keep them. One's got a bright orange body on it, and the other's a clear body that I'll never paint, and I'll keep them forever.
I want to see that thing.
Yeah, so I've had one that I've ran of his that he built for a long time. But those 2 he made for me, and I'll never use them. He built them for me to race, but I just, being who he is and the history of the Wood Brothers, I'll keep that forever.
This question is actually from Mike Davis. # Ask Mike Davis from Colby. I thought you were retiring after the Kentucky Derby.
You know what? That's funny. We actually talk about this on the show, so I'm not going to go elaborate on any of that.
Is that a teeth joke?
Oh, stop.
I was wondering.
That blows my mind. How did we go that whole day at the Kentucky Derby without you hitting me up?
I was wondering if you ran into your family over there.
Stop.
No, I was thinking, is he related to John Force? Because I watched the NBC show, and you guys both have the most perfect bridge of teeth. It was kind of uncanny, like you're related.
John Force does?
There you go. Maybe some of those horses were a little jealous when they saw Mike Beeman up there in the grandstand.
That's why
he drifted wide?
Yeah, that's why he drifted wide. He got distracted by Mike's
Oh, my
Hey,
God.
can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
There's news on this right now.
Oh?
There's news right now.
On what?
So the owner of Maximum
Security.
He's not been able to say
I've
that
not been
word.
able to say this all week.
I'm putting that in every ad read he's ever going to use.
The winner of Maximum Security, owner Gary West told Today Show he ain't running the horse in the Preakness.
Oh,
West is worth $1.1 billion, so Preakness money and a further loss in the horse's stud fees is immaterial, and he's apparently going on and not holding back. Yeah, he's laying the lumber right there.
Man.
So there's some
Good
news
for
on that
him.
horse that
Good
he
for him.
has.
I would say this, regardless of what he did in the Preakness, I bet his stud fees are pretty set. I mean, the success there is made, no matter whether he raced again or not. I don't know that he could improve the stud fees. I mean, if
you could, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you win one of those Triple Crown races, I can't talk now.
I think that
Just
what he
thinking
did
about
in the Derby is enough for him to have a kick-ass.
Can you imagine the build-up, though, to the Preakness and to the Belmont Stakes if he's in that race? I mean, that would have been fun just from a news cycle. But anyways, we're such horse racing experts now.
I know. All of a sudden, we're all horse racing experts. I didn't even go.
Let's just remember, this is today. And the guy's a competitor, and he knows his team and his horses and his trainers are too, and their opinions could change.
Yeah, of course.
So
Of course. So there you go.
I hope that he would race, and if he did, he would be a huge fan favorite.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
This is a good question from Mike. Mike Fitch. Would it be possible to do a weekend at Charlotte using 3 different tracks to help attendance? Thinking trucks on dirt on Friday, Xfinity on the Roval and then run the 600 on the oval.
The only thing is to change the Roval to the
Yeah,
oval
that's
is
tough.
impossible. You can't run the Roval one day and the oval the next. You know, there's too much preparation that goes into creating the Roval that you couldn't do it. So that's not an option, I don't believe.
I love the first part. What do you think about the first part?
Trucks on dirt, perfect. Yeah, run them on the dirt out there. Whatever they want to do. I think you could have all kinds of dirt racing all week long over at Charlotte's dirt track out there in front of the track. You could have Legends cars racing on the
Drag race.
the front straightaway oval. You know, they have the drag racing, whatever. Bring it all.
it's
Hey,
Let's
there.
go.
by the way, I gotta just jump in here. This guy comes back for the Kentucky Derby, Dale, and the first thing he friggin' says to us is,
I walk in his office. I'm like, dude, how about the Derby? That was awesome. He's like, how about that drag race? And I was like,
"He's
wait a
addicted.
minute.
He's addicted.
Oh, yeah, he's watching.
He's wide open addicted."
It
Shout out to Ron Capps.
It might or
Nice
might
job.
not be in our white flag. It's hard to say at this point.
Oh my goodness. All right, should we do one more?
Yeah.
Do one more.
Come on.
Oh, how about this one? This is a fun one. Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, so did anybody celebrate?
I did.
I didn't even know that. And
What?
usually you hear it. I didn't.
I had a margarita. Me and Isla and Amy got in a swimming pool. The thunder clouds came. We were only in there for about 30 minutes. But that's about all we did. We had some tacos. Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
It was good.
Dale's been working so hard, and this is no lie. Like he's been on high alert of just every day. It seems like, and it ain't ending today. He's got tomorrow, Wednesday. But the fact is that I don't blame you for taking a day just by the pool and not going crazy on
Yeah.
something. That would have been the way to do it.
Y'all had a good time at the Derby. I
Yeah.
didn't get to do any of that. I mean, I had a great time, but I didn't get to have any drinks or anything. So when we got home, I had a few beers after that, and then a margarita yesterday.
You did take a sip of the mint julep.
Bleh. It was awful.
That's what he did.
They're not good, but like you have to have one when
Yeah,
you're there. You got to get the glass.
He had enough
It's
of
all liquor, man. It's this.
straight Kentucky bourbon.
I don't drink my liquor straight. I just don't.
Yeah. Well, there was a mint in it.
Could fool me.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it for today.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for today's Ask Junior on Dirty Mo Media YouTube. Make sure you follow Dirty Mo Media on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, to stay up to date on what we got going on. Thanks to Nationwide for our sponsor of the Ask Junior segment. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tune in. This download will be out later this evening. Matthew's going to start editing as soon as we're done here today, and we'll get it out to you tonight.